Hey guys, welcome back to According To. I'm Megan.
And I'm Ciera. For this week's episode, we are going to be hopping on to Reddit again. This time going on the No Stupid Questions subreddit, because I think out of our three most commonly scoured subreddits, it's been the longest since we've done one. Don't fact check me because I don't know if we even double checked.
So for the No Stupid Questions subreddit, the idea is people can just go on, ask any question that their heart desires. It's supposed to hopefully be judgment-free zone, although it's the internet, so it is what it is. And we might either also think, this is a good question that I hadn't thought
want
about
to learn from, or we might have an answer for said stupid question.
Yeah.
Or, it's not a stupid question.
It's not.
We might have an answer for them. Before we get into all the questions that we found, want to talk to you guys about, we're going to get into our weekly spotlights, book updates, life catch-ups, whatever else we decide to get into. So, Megan, what is your weekly spotlight?
First of all, the Hawkeyes won, so I'm so happy about that. They played a Friday night game, which is not typical.
Quite literally the day before, Haley had texted us being like, do you guys want to watch the game at my house tomorrow? And I was like, what do you mean? It's Friday. Tomorrow.
I'm planning on watching them Saturday, like most college football games are. Then I had to look it up myself, and yeah, it was a Friday night game. I was a little bit underwhelmed the first half just because, like, our defense wasn't very good. But then as the game went on in, like, the fourth quarter, I really was kind of like, okay, I feel like something was picking up. So we'll see how that continues as we go into the rest of our conference playing. And, yeah, I did also go on a date this past weekend.
Woo. I don't know if you were going to bring that up, so.
I won't elaborate much. It was a good date. We have a second date set up. I don't know if he will or will not be listening to this podcast.
Oh, did you guys talk about? I mean, he knows.
Yeah,
kind of.
So I'm gonna keep it at that for now.
Okay, good updates.
But
did you feel, just because you want a date? Did you want to say how the date came about?
So we actually have known each other since high school, but did not interact at all in high school, and then matched on Hinge. So that's how the date came about.
And you just re-downloaded Hinge after getting back.
Right.
From your
I guess
trip,
I
right?
can talk about that too.
Do you feel
when I got back from my trip, and I gave you guys a kind of a warning of I think I said on the podcast, I did at least want to kind of get through with my solo trip, and kind of when I had deleted the Hinge app, my mindset was that I wanted to kind of remind myself that there's more to life than just dating and only doing that. And I used those 2 months to really focus on myself and growing as an individual.
Plus,
and I felt like
you don't
I had
want to be
that.
on your trip being like, I got to message someone back from Hinge,
Right.
You want to just be focused on what you're there to do.
I got back from my trip, and then a couple days later, I just felt ready to try and see what was going to come about, if anything. Although I kind of had a caveat of I didn't want this to become my life. So I did do a little time limit on Hinge, and it's just set to 15 minutes max per day to just make sure I'm not spending a ridiculous amount of time on said dating app. And yeah, so
did you feel, because I always felt when I was on Hinge and I was taking a break or something, I'd feel re-inspired if I came back from a trip, had some new photos. I'm like, well, I've got to post these somewhere. My Instagram's not enough.
Yeah.
And that was always an extra push sometimes for me to get back on the app. Sure. Was I've got some new photos to share.
Freshen things up a little bit.
So I don't know if that was also a secondary, I got all these nice photos.
I'm sure. I think I used one for my trip because I didn't want to overwhelm. Oh, can you tell
that I just got back
from Jackson Hole? Yeah.
Okay.
You can share your weekly spotlight.
My weekly spotlight, I have kind of two. One is I went to Beaverdale Fest on Friday night. I actually didn't watch most of the Iowa game because my boyfriend and I, Andrew, went to.
It's just if people don't know his name,
right?
It just provides context.
You know what's funny? When we were in the car, I was talking to Andrew and I said it for some reason. I was like, well, my older sister Haley. He was like, I know who Haley is.
It's hard. I was like, we're so used to saying
I'm such an explainer when it comes to the people in my life. I just feel like I always say who people are. Anyways, so Beaverdale Fest is just a local event. It was Friday, Saturday. Just food vendors, some live music, just you guys know the works. It was just a basic festival, but it was fun. Got some good food, and we were doing that during most of the Iowa game, and I think we got back just for the very end of the game. So that was one of my spotlights. And the other one, I worked actually on Saturday on my PRN job.
I forgot something. It's not a spotlight per se, but
something
we'll
to share.
Circle back.
And I typically I allot like 1 8-hour day per month because that's like my minimum that I'm supposed to give them if I'm PRN. So that was my 8-hour day, and I got my schedule the day before, and I was like, oh, actually it's like kind of like a slightly short day. I had from 8 to 2:30 was like my day.
And you get like an hour lunch, right?
Yes. But I usually get there, I got there at 7:20 or something because I have to chart review all of these patients and figure out who I'm seeing.
True.
And then my first patient starts at 8. So I get there, and like my afternoon, I'm like, sweet, I just have someone for a half hour, and then I see someone for an hour, and like that's my day. The last person was supposed to be an eval, and I was like, I might have to stay a little bit longer because I like haven't done an eval on this documentation system yet. But I was like kind of familiarizing myself with the documentation system when I was like in there in the morning anyway. So I was like, I think this will be fine. And then I get told like partway through my morning, your eval is leaving AMA, which means against medical advice. They just wanted to go home. So I didn't have to eval them. I just had one patient for half an hour after lunch, and then I left. So that was like a nice little surprise. I hope they stay safe at home.
Jumping off of our personal curriculum episode, I have started my running journey.
Oh yeah.
This is I say this with quotation marks. I got the Nike Run Club app. I have a potential 5K that I possibly want to sign up for, and I think Haley, I don't know if you also wanted to do it or not.
I could.
But
we could make it like a little weekend trip.
And so I got the Run Club app. Right now it's only like 2 runs that it's telling me to do because I'm just doing like a beginner program because like it's a 5K. I don't technically probably need to train for this, but I'm doing it more so as like I want to incorporate running at least for, you know, the 2 times, maybe 3 times a week that it's telling me to see if I can get any better at running, mostly for like my aerobic and cardiovascular health. So I started my app on Sunday, and like when I tell you guys like my aerobic fitness is not good, I am being so serious. So if I'm going to be vulnerable with you guys and tell you guys what my mile pace was, like you can't laugh, okay?
And I told her also to go very slow.
And
like
so
I want to have a positive
experience. It was a 20-minute easy recovery run is what it was. And so the coach is telling you the whole time, like, this should be so easy. Like, you should not be struggling at all. I should be able to, like, talk with you and have a conversation, and you shouldn't be struggling. And also knowing myself, like, anytime I've run in the past, it's always been a walk jog. Like, that's just how I've operated with running, and I wanted to try and challenge myself, like, no matter how slow I was going, like, to
keep
run
like
the whole
a running
time.
jaunt.
So I did I did do that, but it was really only like slightly faster than a walk. Because a walking pace, like for a mile, is usually like 20 minutes.
She's being vulnerable with you guys.
My mile pace was like 16 minutes. But did I tell you I ran the whole time? The other thing too, like I just had a pop, like this was shortly after lunch, and I was starting to get like a little bit of a side ache too. I'm not saying that's like my cop out because like I don't know how much more I would have done even without that. So you guys can laugh at me, that's okay. I don't claim to be a runner.
She never claimed to be.
In fact, this is why I've like not been doing this, because I just know I'm not going to be good at it. But
do you think not being good at something holds you back from doing it?
Yes. So anyways, run 2 will probably be some random weekday this week, and we'll go from there. And also, like, my heart rate, I'm not going to get into this, but, like, when you get into running, which I'm not, you can, like, look at zone training, and, like, easy runs are supposed to be, like, what, zone 2?
I mean, I can tell you guys, like, my entire half marathon training, like, regardless, I never was told, like, what zone to be in.
Higher than it should be.
Way too high for whatever zone I should be in.
So, like, I was working hard, I assure you that. My heart was telling me it was.
Anyway, wish her positive vibes, and it can truly only get better from here. Like, it gets easier.
And it was an easy run, so it wasn't hard. That was the whole point.
Yeah. Did I have anything else that I wanted to share? I've been kind of keeping up with my running as well. But I had to do my long run I tried like one quote unquote long run a week. I was like, I just need to make it a 2-mile run because I had a bad run the week before. It was like a 4-mile walk run basically because I was getting this awful side ache and I just felt kind of defeated. I was like, let's bring it back to the basics and maybe just do 2 miles of running. So that was my success story this week. We'll see how I'm feeling next Sunday. So.
What is the like minimum for a long run? What mileage?
In my mind?
Yeah.
I mean, there's no technical like length. It's supposed to be like, I guess there is, like some people say it's supposed to be 20% longer than like your average runs at least.
Okay.
But I mean, I don't average runs.
Right.
So
if you're
at this
starting from
point,
0, like,
yeah, at this point, it's kind of just like, that's when I'm like, I try to do like at least 3 or 4 miles, and then like a couple weeks ago I did 6. So just, I don't know.
All right. Well, I think we've caught up with you guys.
Books.
No, we haven't.
Books.
We have not. I finally finished a book. I finished the 4th book in the Crowns of Nyaxia series. Finally. It mostly was just like there would just be days where I wasn't reading, and that was like the main issue. But like yesterday, I think I had like over 3 hours left in the book, and I got it all read yesterday. I did enjoy the series, and it's still going. I just added the next one to my TBR. The world is like, it made sense enough for me to read it, but like I have to admit, just these last 2 books have just been more confusing than the first 2. So I haven't enjoyed them as much, but I still gave it 4 out of 5 stars. And I just started reading our virtual book club pick for our podcast book club, which is The Ghostwriter by Julie Clark. And I just started that this morning, and I'm doing kind of a combination of audiobook and reading.
I believe my reading update since I last spoke with you guys, I think I was reading Dawn of Onyx. I finished it and gave it 4 stars. And then I also read The Ghostwriter. I did it exclusively through audiobook over the course of 2 days. I gave it 3.5 stars. More to come on my thoughts on that for our virtual book club. And now I'm currently reading The Love of My Afterlife. I'm like maybe 8 chapters in or so, like 50 pages. So, yeah. And I would like to get more, like, I really need to start stacking in some more nonfiction books. So, yeah.
Alrighty. Well, let's go ahead and get our computers pulled out, and we'll see where these questions lead us.
Okay. I have one pulled up first. This one I don't think I know the answer to, so I'll be curious if you either know the answer or we can learn together. Why do Americans remove the U after the color O? Or sorry, I'm combining many words. Why do Americans remove the U after the O from words like color, but not from words like thought or mysterious?
I have no idea. Because color or like gray
flavor
is also a different thing. Flavor.
I truly think, if I had to guess, and hopefully someone has the answer, that it's just like Americans try to simplify things as much as possible. And so like if you can pronounce it the same by dropping one letter, I feel like someone's like, well, same thing. Just make it easier.
But then the question is, why does it not carry over?
For thought. I mean, I don't know.
I don't know either.
I will admit, English does make no sense. Let me read this first person's thing. Color versus color. The U in words like color, favor, honor, etc. comes from French influence. Noah Webster in the early 19th century pushed for American spelling reforms to make words simpler and more phonetic. He thought dropping the U made words easier to read and write. So color became color without the U. Honor with the U, O-U-R became honor, O-R.
So they just decided to do certain words and not others.
So it was one of the dictionary guys that decided. Could you imagine, like, I was like Webster's dictionary, like someone had to like sit down and just think of all words? Like, how do you do that?
I feel like it's more so, it's over time. The first dictionary,
yeah.
I don't know who made that one.
Well, like, that's the thing is, like, how do you decide when you're like, I think it's done? Like, surely you missed something.
Well, then they add on to it in the next edition. And then with,
and, like, new words.
Every single time that we've got, you hear about, like, oh, this word got added to the dictionary.
Do you remember Frindle? That book actually got added to the dictionary. Like, not our dictionary, but in their fictional world, it got added to the dictionary.
Okay.
So I was half right.
My first one, this is a little dark, sorry. Why isn't the death penalty just a quick gunshot to the head? Someone said, a single gunshot to the brain seems like it would be way quicker, less painful than lethal injection or electric chair, and the chances of it failing are significantly less as well. So why doesn't the government just use that method? Technically, do some states still offer firing squad? Because like oftentimes they will like allow a person to pick, if I'm not mistaken, like between the options.
That's right. If I am not mistaken, I believe you're correct that they will typically give people the option if they have multiple ways of carrying out the death penalty.
States that allow firing squads are Idaho, Mississippi, Oklahoma, South Carolina, and Utah. Although some of them, again, have, like, it's only authorized if lethal injection is not available necessarily. Anyways, do you have any thoughts before I kind of read some other people's thoughts, opinions, whatever?
I mean, I would guess maybe like, choice or, like, what we deem as, like, being least traumatic for the individual who is being killed. That would be my guess. Or like less gruesome, less cleanup. I don't know.
The most common answer that people are saying is because of optics. So kind of what you're saying. Someone commented saying, I actually went to school where one of the professors was one of the leading academics in the death penalty. And I went to a talk he gave once. Firing squad / a shot to the head is actually the quickest, least painful, and least prone to something going wrong, not to mention most cost-effective than all the other methods used, but it just looks barbaric and does not.
They're like, it looks much better if this person is just sitting in this chair and then, like, goes asleep, quote-unquote, versus being shot.
I did also see a second question, and I'm only bringing it up because it's death penalty related, but someone else had posted in the No Stupid Questions thing asking about, like, why do people like that are on death row, like, how are they in jail sitting and, like, just waiting death penalty so long or execution?
Isn't that typically because, like, they go through appeals processes to, like, they don't want to get the death penalty?
I actually did a research paper in high school about the death penalty, and I don't remember if it was, like, a debate paper of, like, to be pro or against the death penalty, but in doing my research for the paper, I became kind of anti-death penalty from, like, a multitude of standpoints, like, beyond just, like, moral stuff. It still almost costs more. I know, like, the idea of the death penalty that people have in mind is, like, they did something really bad, we're going to kill them and, like, be done with them.
Wipe our hands clean, not have to spend any government money on them. That's just
not the realistic means in which it happens. People are allowed the right to an appeals process,
which are lengthy and time-consuming and expensive.
It costs money, and then the prisons that they're staying in, if they're, on death row, are higher maximum security, more expensive prisons, as well as, like, the research that I found in doing death penalty in death penalty cases. I'm personally of the standpoint of, like, I'd rather have 100, what's the saying?
You'd rather have 100 guilty people go free than have one innocent person go to jail or get the death penalty.
So I'm, like, in that camp, and I think most people would agree with that. And the number of people that you see that are on death row that are either later exonerated or proven innocent, it's not zero. So just by that standpoint alone, I've also kind of adopted, like, the anti-death penalty stance. Okay, I think that's all I have for that one.
Did people memorize numbers before mobile phones? Whenever I watch TV shows or movies that are based in the pre-2000s, they will call their friends or family by typing their number using no note or anything. I know TV isn't real, but I would have thought they would add the detail of copying it off a piece of paper or something. I mean, we're young enough.
We are in the sweet spot of, like, our parents, I don't feel like ever memorized phone numbers really, or at least, like, they've forgotten. But, like, me, you, and Haley, like, I know we know, select phone numbers just by heart. And, people younger than us,
my dad could not tell me his phone number. Or my dad could not tell me my phone number.
Right. And, like, I know your number. Did Haley get a different number? I used to know her number.
The same phone number.
I know both my parents' numbers. And, like, that's...
I don't know Andrew's phone number.
Well, so, like... It's more so, like, when you were growing up, like, if you needed to know a number, like, a parent to get a hold of, like, we just had them memorized.
And, like, even pre, like, all of that, when people had to keep track of phone numbers, phone book, if they had, like, to get a hold of someone, or, like, people had Rolodex with, like, their contacts. Mm-hmm. And they'd pull out the Rolodex and be like, I need to get a hold of so-and-so. Let me pull out their card. But as far as why they don't show that in TV shows, I would guess A, time consuming.
I also feel like if it is a close relative, like it's not a far-fetched idea to like assume they have that number memorized.
Let's see what the other people say. Someone said, I had all the important numbers metaphorically burned into my brain and a handwritten phone number book at home for the numbers I use less often. Still remember my best friend's phone number from 30 years ago, for example. I still have plenty memorized from the pre-cell phone days. My mom, a few friends, my ex-girlfriend. The last one is great for when I'm drunk and need to call someone, crying about how I'm a failure. Okay. Oh. Thank you for being vulnerable. So yeah. I think it's just the numbers that you had to call and you had to actually dial it in. You just memorize them.
All right, here's a question. What is the real reason? This is like a philosophical question. I guess these all kind of are. What is the real reason some women can't let go of a toxic guy?
I think maybe for some people it's like the desire of like wanting to be wanted. And so you're like, why won't this guy want me? And like trying to like prove yourself and make yourself desirable to them. Like if that's the case where it's like, is he toxic? Because like he's just brushing you off and like not giving you the time of day.
I think it's a mix of, because that more so sounds to me like not necessarily someone you're in a relationship with, but like you're kind of pining after someone that's like not interested in you. I kind of was looking at it as like if you're dating someone, why would a woman choose to stay with someone that's like very obviously toxic? And I feel like most often it probably stems from the woman in this case like just being not super independent and feeling like she needs to rely on having someone else there, probably some sense of insecurity in who they are or their ability to do things on their own. I think also as you're growing up, depending on like either your family dynamics or whether or not you were in like a relationship kind of in your formative years, like that kind of dictates how much you do or don't rely on other people. And so if you always had like, it's kind of a stereotype. People who are always in relationships are always in relationships. And I feel like those types of people might be more likely to fall into this situation where the idea of having someone is better than having no one.
And they also probably, get used to like the comfort of like they know what to expect with this person. They know it's tumultuous and up and down. So it's almost like the whole devil you know versus the devil you don't scenario where it's like, at least I know what I'm getting.
And something too is like these toxic guys are not always toxic 100% of the time too. So they might, a lot of times these relationships ebb and flow, and it's like the remorse and like forgiveness or, asking for apology that kind of allows the woman to like continue staying in said relationship because they're going to change or, we've moved past this now, and not really realizing that the cycle just keeps happening.
Any enlightening comments?
People forget that abusers are charming. They aren't rude all of the time. They play nice. They groom you. They make you feel connected. They meet your needs. And you can also have plenty of nice memories with them besides just the bad ones. Someone said it's a mix of trauma bonding, low self-esteem, and the false hope that he'll change. Add in some love bombing, and it feels like emotional crack. It's hard to quit even when you know it's bad.
Okay. Next one I have is, my brother thinks people today have worse quality of life than people in the dark ages. Is this a stupid take? I personally think it's pretty stupid. That was their sub-note.
I also personally think it's pretty stupid.
I would just like to pose to this brother, would you rather we go back in time, we drop you off in the dark ages, you stay there, or would you rather live in this time period?
I'm guessing who is it, their friend that posed that question?
Their brother.
I feel like their brother's kind of coming at it more from point of like, you don't know what you don't know. And like, so back then with the quote unquote simple life that you live then compared to now, is there something to be said for the lack of, things to go on firing in your brain of like a million things to think about? But I would still argue, even considering that, no.
Yeah, I mean, I just can't think of, everyone in the comments is like, this is very stupid.
Like
I
the
think
Dark
your brother
Ages.
doesn't know anything about the Dark Ages. So, I mean, I honestly can admit, like, just generally, like, if you asked me to tell you what exactly happened in the Dark Ages, like, I couldn't exactly pinpoint that time period if I'm being so for real. But I can tell you,
I wouldn't want
modern times, it's gonna be better than that every time.
I'm looking up when the Dark Ages were.
Is that like the plague era or no?
Dark Ages refers to historically contested period of early Middle Ages, generally from the 5th to the 10th or 14th century. That's a huge gap. But
The plague time period took place. The first wave was 1346 to 1353.
so that would have been like the end of the Dark Ages.
Second wave was 1360 to 1371. Third wave was 1665 to 1666. Okay. Your turn or my turn?
My turn. Okay. What do people do with their wedding dresses after the event?
Put them in a box.
Someone said, like, you just keep it in the back of your closet, pass it down to someone else, sell it, return it to the shop. Most commonly, I feel like people just kind of put it in a box.
And our
for
mom
safekeeping.
kept hers in a box. I don't know if she still has it now.
She
Because obviously
doesn't.
she
She does not.
divorced from her dad, and so she has really no desire to keep it. I think she sold it or something. I believe Haley's is just in a box. I just saw maybe a TikTok or something of like someone hosting their friends with like a wedding dress night, and like they all got in their wedding dresses and like
Fun.
got together.
I've seen, there's companies now too that like you can rent your wedding dress from, and like you can search, which like makes so much sense because like besides just like having your wedding dress like to have
And to
like
hold.
when are you going to wear it again, you know?
Yeah.
So that's an interesting idea. Most people are saying have them cleaned and boxed for their future daughter. What is your take on obviously we do not have this choice anymore because our mom does not have said wedding dress, but I always think it's fun, if not like to rewear your mom's actual wedding dress, because like, you know, times have changed. The odds that the dress fits you exactly how you need it to probably slim to none. But I've always thought it's cool when women do like their reception dresses as like some sort of, what's the word I'm looking for?
Reconstruction.
Yeah, like reconstruction from the mom's wedding dress. I think like some of those turn out really cool.
I like the idea. I also think you said reception dress. I think you meant rehearsal dress.
Yes, that's very much what I meant.
I think it's cool, but it's only really meaningful to me if like you can tell like, oh,
Yes.
the bones are like, if I saw your mom's
Yeah.
dress, like I can see this dress
I
in this
agree.
dress. Otherwise it's like, if you're like, oh, this is made for my mom's dress, and you show me a picture of your mom's dress, and I'm like, where was like, what did you use to make this dress? Then I'm like, well, it's not really giving your mom's dress.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's really cool if they like pay homage to the original, whether it's like keeping some sort of construction the same, keeping the style the same. But yeah, I think that's a fun idea. Don't have the choice now, but I like the sentiment. Okay. When coworkers tell you they go out to eat, is that supposed to be a hint to get you to join them or no? One of my coworkers has said like 20 times that she's going out to dinner with my other coworker, but she never directly asked me to join them. My guess is that it's not hinting at me to join her. Is that probably correct?
I would say it's a safe assumption. Like, who's going to invite themselves to
Right.
dinner? No one is going to invite themselves. So
It's weird that your coworker's constantly like, oh, me and Bobby,
Yeah.
we're always going out to Chili's together after work. I'd be like, cool, have fun.
Like maybe they're just like friends, and to them that's like, oh, I'm going out to dinner with my friend. But like to you, it's the coworker. So you're like, you're not trying to invite me along, are you? I would say just assume.
Yeah.
Just keep doing what you're doing.
Maybe just be like, oh, have fun. And like that would be plenty of an open for them if they wanted to invite you to be like, you could come with.
Mm-hmm.
But I would just say like, assume it's just a weird thing that they're doing by constantly bringing it up. Someone said, try this next time. Coworker, going out to dinner with Susie tonight. You. Oh, yeah, where are you going? Coworker, that new sushi place. You. I love sushi. Either your coworker will ask you to join them or she won't, but the conversation opens the door.
And that's only if you want, to go to dinner. Do you want to go to dinner with these people?
Yeah, maybe you don't. I have if I'm coworkers with you, we are just coworkers. I'm not even like Facebook friends with my coworkers. Someone says too little info to tell. Could just be a heads up, we're off to lunch, so it might be busier for the next hour as the department will be a few staff down, or it could be, hey, we're off to lunch.
I mean, this is a casual mention, right?
Like after work.
Granted,
Assuming we don't know your schedule.
Do they say supper, lunch, dinner?
I get so thrown off, like with patients specifically that I'm working with. Like, obviously everyone knows breakfast is breakfast, but like lunch becomes dinner or supper, and I'm like, lunch. Like, do you mean like the midday meal? Is that what you're talking about? I also get so thrown off with like patients are always constantly worried that I'm gonna like not let them eat food.
Trust me, you'll make your meal.
You know what I mean? Like, I'm like, let's go to your therapy. And like, it's almost lunchtime, and I'm like, it's 11 o'clock. Lunch is in an hour. Let's do your therapy, and then we'll be back for lunch. So,
this one did make me think a little bit until I'm pretty sure I basically know the answer to this, but I wonder if you'll kind of be like thinking for a second. Okay. When I burn fat, how does the weight leave my body?
I saw this one and I specifically didn't take it because I was like, I don't know if I know.
See, I'm pretty sure because this person was like, do I poop it out the same way I would if I ate fat steak? No.
I don't believe so.
So I'm pretty sure it's just because like heat evaporates.
Your body
and your
breaks down fat.
As you're burning the fat, like metabolism in your body is using the energy. The energy that is then like all energy has to transfer forms. Yeah. So once it's used up there, it has to like be released as heat.
So if it's like metabolized in your organs or if your muscles are burning.
Now from a molecular standpoint, what does that exactly look like and mean? I don't know.
Or it's like worked off as like, if not heat, then like kinetic energy of some sort, like movement. If it's like muscle. Or if it's like your brain is metabolizing something and like using it to make your neurons fire. Like energy is happening. And
from a like, trying to visually kind of be like, where's the fat going? Like I would envision, I don't know if this is correct, like a fat cell.
Should I look this up? Actually, let's just rely on the comments.
A fat cell, like, as the fat is being used up, like the stores of the fat, they're being pulled in, broken down, energy into your bloodstream, and then going through like the Krebs cycle and oxidative metabolism and all that. I knew this all very well at one point. And then it has to be released, as it is. And then it dissipates from your body.
Let's see what the comments say. Hopefully they can break it down.
Someone said through your breath. I think it's a little bit more than that. Like, I don't think you're just like sweating out all of your fat through your breath. It's called the Krebs cycle if you want to look into the chemical processes.
Breathing out fat.
Someone said CO2. Someone said...
Well, like CO2 is a byproduct of all of this stuff. So like in a way, yes, but also in a way...
Fat is made up of carbon and hydrogen atoms. Carbon atoms are much bigger than hydrogen and weigh much more. When fat gets broken down, it becomes CO2 that we breathe out. That carbon comes from the carbon in the fat. So everyone's saying you breathe it out.
Yeah, but that's a byproduct that you're breathing out. You're then using some of the other storage.
And then someone's saying the remainder leaves as like water because like you've got the CO2 stuff, you've got water. Also, there's a whole chemical process to this. And
if you guys are really curious about this, you go ahead and look up the Krebs cycle.
And I promise you'll never want to look into it again.
Yeah.
Ever.
And every time you learn about it, you'll be like, I have to learn about this again. Okay. That's funny though. With like the amount of classes that we've taken.
I saw this and I was like, I shouldn't pull this up, but like
it's just funny like that you like learn about so many like you dive super deep into like the intricacies of it, then you're like big picture like, but what is happening?
Yeah.
So okay, this one was interesting because it had like 10,000 upvotes. Is it true that men assume the vast majority of women aren't attracted to them? Now obviously we can't answer this because we're not men, but I thought it was crazy that this had 10,000 upvotes. I
feel like most men, like if I'm putting myself in the mind of a man, scary place to be. I would say most men would say they think most women are not attracted to them.
Here's what I think.
Because I think men have like a...
If men are on a spectrum, I would say like the hottest of the hottest men know they're hot and think everyone's attracted to them.
True.
But then
these are the ones everyone that are posting thirst traps
like
on TikTok.
The other 90% that are like still very attractive to then like not attractive, or like no one's attracted to me. That's what I think.
That could very well be true.
Someone said, I still assume my wife isn't attracted to me. I'm not attracted to the majority of people, so it would be absolutely mental to go around assuming the majority of people are attracted to me. I know I'm a pretty average looking guy after all. This is
a
like
fair take.
Also, like I think generally if I were to guess how the world perceives me, I think people would be like, oh, she's a nice looking girl, and like think nothing more of it, you know? Like I think I am average looking, average to above average. But like I don't think I would like stop anyone dead in their tracks.
It'd be so interesting. Most people in the world have to rate themselves at like a 6 or 7 on like
I think
the look
so.
scale, and like and everyone's gonna put themselves there. I feel like, you know, so then it's like,
that's what I would say.
Well, what's the scale? Because everyone cannot be a 6 or 7.
Yeah.
Anyways,
we'll take a world census one day. You know what I will say though, like the girl in Cape Cod, I should have like gone up to her and like complimented her, because there are some people that you see, whether it's like a guy or a girl, that you're just like, oh my god, like they are stunning. There was a girl that we saw, maybe we had mentioned her in our podcast recap, where I saw her and I was like, she is so stunning. And like I didn't say anything to our group about her like when we first saw her, because I was like,
but when you saw her second time, you're like,
I was like,
well,
I know her. I've seen her before. How could I forget her beautiful face? And so I'm like, I should have told her that, because that probably would have made her day.
Yeah, it would have. Why am I able to focus more at night on my studies and not in the morning?
I mean, I think this is probably different for everyone. If you are more of a night owl and feel like you're more awake and energized. Excuse you. I feel like I'm gonna choke. Oh my gosh.
Do you feel like you're more, because then I was kind of thinking back on when we were in school, and I was trying to be like, well, morning is, here's the thing. I had like classes at 8 in the morning just about, so I wasn't getting up to study before then unless I was like cramming last minute for an exam
time. Like 5 a.m. I'd be up.
What I'm thinking of like our pain exams, where like those would start at like 8 in the morning, or like they could be open, you know, and if people wanted to like take them before class
people
started.
would.
No, I know.
I would not do that.
I think we did that once.
Really?
I think so.
I remember doing that.
There was one time where I was like, I need this exam to be like done so I can move on with the rest of my day, because some of our exams were like online depending on the class. But yeah, I would say for sure, like I was a night person, evening to night. That's when I'm doing my studying.
But like not super late. Like I'm going to bed.
And also like, I guess I'm kind of framing this as like, if that's really like my only option. But like in undergrad, we did have like a bit more flexibility with like time of day that we wanted to spend studying. To be honest, like I feel like I thrive like midday. I'm a midday person.
Mm-hmm. I say like midday to early afternoon. If I could pick, like this is my prime. Like if I had to pick 4 hours to study, like a 1 to 5 would be ideal.
Really, I was gonna say like a 10 to 2.
Lunch break in between.
Yeah.
I mean, we did that a couple times.
Exactly.
Go to the library, go to the Ped Mall, get some noodles, walk back. Sorry, not the Ped Mall, Old Cap.
And you think we'd have that straightened out with?
No, for real. I don't think I've ever said that correctly.
Yeah, this person was like, I'm preparing for the SAT even though I have all the hours in the morning to study. I just don't. But when it's after 9 p.m., I get the random motivation. So I make a cup of coffee and I'm able to concentrate and actually get something
honestly,
done until 2 a.m.
If that's your schedule, then as long as you're hopefully getting enough sleep.
There's no comments on this.
Then I don't see a problem with it.
Do what you need to do.
What is it about nature specifically that makes you calmer? I started going outside daily recently, and honestly, it's been really, really helpful. Definitely something I'd recommend to anyone. Have you ever heard about going outside?
Grounding.
I noticed that nature really makes me calm, but what specifically? Why is being in nature so soothing and comforting? You can probably comment on this because you just spent, 3 days in nature.
I did.
Did you feel calm?
I did feel calm. I felt rejuvenated. I felt serene. I feel like it's simply almost, obviously, like there's can be a lot of input when you're out in nature, but I think for the most part, like it's almost the lack of input in terms of like you're not usually being bombarded with like people, things, technology, stuff coming in on your email or whatever else. Like you're also like probably, unless you're just walking or hiking or something, there's not like a task at hand to be doing. You're just outside enjoying. Like it is kind of just like already a leisure time versus inside. Like I'm in my house. Maybe I have to like cook or clean or whatever else. Like there are other things you have to do in the day. So I just think it's the combination of the environment itself is less stimulating, but in a good way. And you are already kind of self-designating that you're probably doing a leisure task. And so your body is not, stressed. Cortisol can be lowered a little bit, and that's nice.
I agree. I also think that like weather plays a huge factor into it. So like if you like, I can tell instantly like when I walk outside and it's a beautiful day, I'm like, this feels amazing. And then like you said, it's just the lack of things to do, things bombarding me, that you just feel like you have less to do. So
okay, there could be an actual answer to this, and unless people in the comments say, we won't know. If I get arrested and need to call someone, will the police let me use my phone to look up their number?
I don't know.
Maybe they give you a phone book? Who's in the phone book, though? Like,
I'm not in the phone book.
Like, yeah, so never mind. I feel like you say they would.
I think so.
I feel like they would, too. You could even, I feel like you could be like, go to my contacts and, like, can you tell me this number?
Because I'm just like, I imagine if I was in a police station, be like, oh, I want to call my mom. I mean, I have my mom's phone number, so I wouldn't be able to look it up. This goes back to the original question. Maybe you need to start memorizing phone numbers in case you need to make a call from prison. So that you don't run into this issue.
This says, criminal defense attorney in Arizona. So, like, they've got some
ethos, I believe.
Yeah. It depends. For stuff like DUIs that are cite and release, yes, and they'll even charge your phone for you if it's dead. For more serious crimes that involve you being booked directly into jail, no. Yes, it's a problem I came across frequently as a public defender because almost no one remembers numbers by memory anymore. Someone else said this is correct. In Florida, if you're going further in the jail than a holding cell, they take your phone and all pocket possessions. So sounds like it's a little bit depending on the crime and what you committed. Someone said, the one and only time I was arrested, they asked me if I needed to look up contacts in my phone for my phone call. I declined because I already had the phone number I needed memorized, but I thought it was oddly polite for them to offer.
Okay. Someone said, why do people choose to have children if it is so much hard work? You have endless responsibilities, no free time, sleepless nights, you're tired all the time, and the house becomes a mess. You have to prioritize their needs over yours. You can't just do whatever you want, whenever you want. Vacation and travel time is limited to school breaks, emotional outbursts at any place and time, and massive financial obligations, among other things. Why do so many people choose to do this despite knowing that massive sacrifices have to be made? Love. I mean, I think that people who grow up with loving families, even people who don't, like, want to, emulate that. And sometimes it's just like second nature for people, like, to think, oh, I'm part of a family, I'm going to grow up and have my own family. Like, I think that's just like encoded in you from birth of like, oh, we have a family, we grow up, we have our own family. And then I think that people who decide not to have children usually have to like consciously make that decision to like veer off of that path to decide they don't want to have kids.
I feel like also like humans by nature are generally like geared towards being like having relationships with people, and then like building a family is another way to further expand the relationships that you have and fostering relationships in a new way.
And I do think that yes, all that stuff is true when they're younger, but you look at like the bigger picture of like when they get older, hopefully like your sacrifices will pay off in dividends of like you have more people to love, people who love you, people who might take care of you when you're older, help you like if you struggle with like hard times in the future. And like I just, me thinking for myself, I want kids in the future. I'm not particularly like,
I'm not looking forward to all the things you just said.
Right, exactly. But like I think of like the family that I want is like I want a husband and I want kids. And ideally, like I'm probably not gonna be like loving of like the baby stages. Like I'm gonna be totally honest. I'm gonna love when they're older and can communicate and talk and start doing things. But like I do see the benefits of it.
Yeah. Why do people include their age and gender in their posts? I think because it adds context to a situation.
Sorry, what did you say?
Someone said, why do people include their age and gender in their posts?
Oh, it totally adds context. Like, I don't know your thought process if you're like, or how you're wording things. If you are a 15-year-old male or a 40-year-old woman, like, that's going to change how I am reading the situation. And, like, how you are presenting
also,
it to
it's
me.
like, if someone, like, especially 'cause this is, like, a very popular way to, like, phrase questions or things on Reddit specifically. And you guys know that if you've listened to us doing these episodes. But it just makes it, like, oftentimes if you were to not include that, I'm guessing one of the first questions would be, like, how old are you? And, like, what's the relationship of these people in this setting? So I think it just up front, you've got all that knocked out.
And, like, whether or not we like to admit it, gender plays a role. If you're a guy or girl, like, expectations that are placed on you or that, like, are being expected of you, like, we just need the context.
Yeah. That's what everyone's saying.
Why are there no famous serial killers anymore? I'm talking about Ted Bundy, Jeffrey Dahmer, John Wayne Gacy, Jack the Ripper, the Zodiac Killer. Of course, it is a bad thing for these guys to be famous since it encourages bad behavior, but I want to know why serial killers today never get as big as Ted Bundy or Jeffrey Dahmer. I suppose there's Luigi Mangione and TR, but those guys aren't really serial killers.
This is a good question, honestly, because, like, I don't know the answer to this. I had, like, a thought, but I'm just like, this could be, like, so far wrong that, like, I don't even know if it's worth sharing. But, like, I almost feel like the way in which, like, crime is committed today is just different now than it was, let's say, in, like, the 60s through the 80s. And, like, I would argue mass shootings back then were not as popular as they are now, but now mass shootings, you know, happen all the time. I don't really know why there is a difference in the way crimes are being committed or who's being targeted, but that's just, like, one possible link or thing that I'm thinking of.
My initial thought, but then I don't know if this works because of, like, the Zodiac Killer, even though technically I think he's been identified. But, like, Jack the Ripper, like, he's still technically not identified, I don't think. My initial thought was thinking, oh, like, maybe it's, like, it takes time for these people to, like, get caught and, like, build an identity, and that's kind of when, like, the true crime aspect jumps into it. Like, you learn more about their past, and, like, that's kind of, like, where the story builds. But then again, like, Jack the Ripper, like, we still don't know, technically, I don't think, who that is. But he's still, like,
another thing too is,
serial killer.
do we feel like with the rise of DNA and just, like, more surveillance technology, has that dissuaded some people from using this kind of approach in terms of, like,
or have people been caught before they can become serial killers?
True. And then also just, like, the notoriety in terms of, like, who we learn about and who we hear about also plays into it. Like, I don't know, there very well could be people who have had multiple victims and would technically be a serial killer by definition, but if they're not given, like, a fancy name in the newspaper, then, like, you're probably not gonna hear about them.
Let's look at some of the comments and see what people are saying. Someone says better tools and worse incentives. I mean, we've got DNA cameras, databases, and interstate sharing to catch repeat killers sooner, so long series, quote-unquote, rarely build. And news is fragmented and outlets avoid glorifying names while mass shootings dominate attention. The Bundy-style myth-making window mostly closed. Also, people are smarter now. Women don't really hitchhike anymore or walk outside alone at night.
That's
Everyone
true.
has
Like,
phones.
just the environment we live in is not the same.
Everyone has phones, which can be used to call for help and track your location. Parents keep closer tabs on children. So,
This
times
is
have changed,
still,
I guess.
This is still a disturbing thought. So the AI Google overview just said, yes, serial killer activity has declined significantly in the United States since the peak in the 1970s
Did
and
people
80s.
associate that with lead?
What?
I swear people, like, attribute the rise in serial killers in the 70s to, like, some sort of, like, we had more lead in our water.
Haven't heard
That would have, like,
that.
peaked in the 70s.
With numbers dropping from hundreds to an estimated 25 to 50 active individuals at any given time. That's still disturbing.
It's too many.
They think this is due to enhanced forensic science like DNA testing, increased surveillance, stricter parole, and better resource development or deployment by law enforcement.
I'm trying to look up to see if there's an AI overview for the link between lead and crime, or did I totally make this up? Lead can refer to the toxic heavy metal or the concept of a lead crime hypothesis linking childhood lead exposure to adult criminality. Okay, this isn't really giving me anything. There is at least studies on it, it looks like. The association between lead exposure and crime, a systematic review that I won't go through right now, but it's out there.
But it's you guys can look into it if you wish. This is my last one. Do women think guys who follow OnlyFans models on their Instagram is a red flag?
Yes, I do.
Was sitting behind these two girls in class, totally not eavesdropping, and heard that they think it's weird when guys follow OnlyFans girls at best and red flag at worst.
Yeah.
Yes.
Can you elaborate?
And do you not? I mean, obviously, like guys do this, so like they probably are like, I'm not a red flag.
Here's the thing. I would say like, I understand people are going to look at whatever they want to look at, and they're going to do that in whatever way, shape, or form. Do you need to publicly follow them to do that? Like, at the very least, can't you just search their name up and, like, you know, see what you would like?
Make it a little bit harder for yourself.
You know what I mean?
Burner account. Like, don't publicly be doing that. I'm not saying, like, from a girl's perspective, honestly, like, at least you're able to see exactly who someone's following if they have a public account. A burner account would not be helpful in that situation from a girl's standpoint. I'm just like saying from a guy's standpoint,
be a little bit smarter.
Like, what are you doing? Yeah.
What do the comments say?
Someone said, perhaps the better question is, why do guys follow OnlyFans models on Instagram? That might help you identify the reason it's not a very attractive thing to do. Yeah.
It's just like, if a girl is looking at your Instagram following tab and she's like trying to see as a potential partner
for 1 second,
is she going to want to see like, oh, my future boyfriend is following all of these girls that post like half naked photos of themselves? And like, no shame to the girls. You guys do what you want to do, however you want to make money. You know, I get your audience that you're trying to capture is like, are these people? But if I'm looking through stuff, I'm like, I don't really want my boyfriend looking at that stuff. So certainly not publicly, like
like, okay,
you know what I mean? So that's my opinion.
I don't have any others.
I have a couple that we'll kind of try to speed run through a little bit. Why do stores seemingly stock too much of extra small and extra large sizes and not enough of the more common sizes?
I feel like the thing is that they're so common that like those sizes all get taken.
Yeah, that's what most people are saying. That was my thought as well.
Like, I understand you can be like, well, then add more.
More.
I'm sure they're trying.
Yeah. How do people normally find out their blood type?
I think I found out because like I do know my blood type now, but like for the longest time I didn't.
I think when I got my blood drawn was when I finally figured out what my blood type was.
I can't remember how I found out my blood type.
I'm certain you can, like, if you didn't know, you could probably just call your doctor and be like, what's my blood type? Yeah. And surely they have it in your records. Do they get your blood type when you're born?
See, that's part of me. I was wondering, I was like, it doesn't say, there's no way it says on your birth certificate. But like, why was I feeling like I had like looked at my birth certificate to find that out?
I don't know.
Were you having a thought like that too?
I don't remember now that you say how I found out. I didn't know for a while though. I know it made positive. But I actually don't know. Someone said, I found out when I started donating blood. They sent me a thing in the mail with my blood type in it. Someone said, I found out my blood type when I was pregnant. Someone said,
not on your birth certificate.
You don't really need to know your blood type outside of illness or injury. You can go donate blood to find out. You can order cheap test kits on Amazon. So, the more you know. Do you actually use hotel housekeeping services?
I do
if I'm not in the room.
Right. Yeah. The entire time on my trip, because on my trip, you can like put a do not disturb thing like you can at any hotel if you don't want them in there. And they're like, usually they'll go like between like 9 and 3 is like the times that they'll do it. And at first, I'm trying to remember, I didn't end up using any housekeeping when I was there just because I like didn't know if like there were going to be times where I wanted to go back to my hotel room during the day, and I didn't want to have someone in my room if I needed to go back. But like if I know for sure I'm gone and I'll be out and about the whole day, then like I have no qualms.
Please make my bed. Tidy things up a little bit. Give me another towel.
Yeah.
You know. Okay. I think that's going to do it for our No Stupid Questions episode. If you guys have more insightful information than what we shared, which you surely do, please answer any of these questions in our episode post or in the comments below if you're watching the YouTube video.
Make sure you guys go check out our virtual book club if you are a reader and you'd like to get into reading. It's going to be October soon, so we will be having a new pick coming up shortly. If you join now, then you might be able to get involved in suggesting either our next book club picks that we vote on and or doing the actual voting.
And we'll talk to you guys next Thursday.
Bye.